Welcome back to Serving Up Plumbing with me, David Butler. Today we're going to be talking about what you can do if you're not a licensed plumber to know whether or not it's time to replace your water heater and the things you should be looking for. But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Okay, let's get into this. All right, we're going to be going over 4 tips today on what you should look for if you're concerned about your water heater. These are things that you can look at if you're not a licensed plumber. Now, if you do find any of these things, it might be time to get a licensed plumber out. So, let's get started. Number 1, how old is your water heater? Well, in general, water heaters last about 8 to 10 years. Some a little longer, some a little less. But we say if your water heater's 10 years old, it's time to replace it. How do you know how old it is? By the serial number on the water heater. And the serial number of the water heater is located on what we call the information tag on the side of the water heater. It'll have the model number, the serial number, the wattage or gas volume usage that it has, whether it's natural gas, LP gas, all of the things about the water heater. So when you look at this, you want to look for the serial number. And in the serial number, the first 4 letters of it, or numbers, it could be a mix or a match of either one, are going to tell you, usually the first 2 are going to tell you the year, and the second 2 are going to tell you either the week or the month that it was manufactured. So you know if it's 0 to 12, it's probably the month. And if it's up and over 12, 13 to 52, we're probably looking at the week it was manufactured. Once you look at that serial number and you find how old the water heater is, that's when you know whether you need to call a plumber or not. If it's over 10 years old and it'll do water damage in your house, it's time to replace it. One thing that most people don't know is insurance companies have found that water heaters are one of the #1 causes of flooding in your home. Item number 2 to look for on your water heater: rusty pipes on top of the water heater. It's very common for the pipes going into the top of the water heater to start leaking. Usually this is because it wasn't properly installed, and unfortunately that happens a lot. So if you'll notice in these pictures, the pipes at the top of the water heater being very rusty, a lot of times it's just the cold water pipe, sometimes it's the cold and the hot water pipe. And either one of those pipes that are extremely rusty, that means they've been leaking, and probably for quite some time. It's time to get a plumber out to take a look at those. Item number 3, water in the drain pan. Now, assuming your water heater has a drain pan, some of the older ones do not, but all water heaters are required to have drain pans now by code. If your water heater doesn't have a drain pan, you're probably going to notice the water because it's all over your floor. If it does have a drain pan, look in the drain pan. It should be completely dry. If there is water in the pan, it could be coming from the water heater, or it could be coming from a rusty pipe leaking on top of the water heater like we talked about before. But any water in the pan means there's a problem. Oftentimes we even have water in the pan because of a roof leak, that it runs down the vent pipe of the water heater into the pan. All of these things are very difficult to detect if you're not a licensed professional. So it's time to get a plumber out if you find water in that pan. Last but not least, item number 4. Is your water heater making a lot of noise? Oftentimes people will think that if a water heater's making an awful lot of noise that they're worried it's going to explode or go out on them right away. Usually this is not the case. Noisy water heaters are usually caused by sediment buildup in the water heater. And that's caused generally by lack of use of the water heater. Now, that doesn't mean someone's not using hot water, but it means they're not using the volume of water in that tank. We have 50-gallon tanks in most homes these days. If there's just one person living there, they don't ever empty all the water, and that hot water gets continually reheated, which every time it reheats, it builds up a little more sediment in that water heater. And most people don't realize either that sediment is not going to cause the water heater to start leaking. In fact, sometimes the sediment's the only thing keeping it from leaking, but what it does cause is inefficiency. Just a 1/4 inch buildup in the bottom of a water heater can cause 40% loss of efficiency. That means the gas is going to run a lot longer to get the heat into that water, or the electricity is going to run a lot longer to get that water heated up. Nobody wants to spend more money on their energy bills. So if you do have a water heater that's popping and clunking a lot, and they start sometimes as early as 1 to 2 years old, call a plumber out and have him check it out. Sometimes we can flush the water heater and it'll help. Oftentimes there's not anything we can do about it, but it's not going to be a dangerous situation the majority of the time if that's happening. If you have any problems with the heaters, what do you need to do? Call a licensed professional. If you see any of these 4 items on your water heater, it's time to call a licensed professional. And if you're in the DFW area, call Milestone Electric, AC, and Plumbing, and we can get out and take care of you right away. I hope this video was helpful today. I hope none of you have any of these problems, but now at least you have some things to look for if you do have any water heater problems. Thanks so much for watching Serving Up Plumbing. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Look forward to seeing you next time on Serving Up Plumbing.